I ask you again, as I have every day for 2 years, where do we stand right now between Dak and the Cowboys?
Well, first of all, Dak may not be getting the ring from the Dallas Cowboys, but I've learned from my own experience, even if you don't get the ring from the one you want, there are plenty of fish in the sea if you are valuable. And I look at it like this for Dak Prescott. Contract situation in terms of the years, right? Dak wanted 4 years. The Dallas Cowboys wanted 5. Dak, of course, wanted to get back out there to make more money and hit the open market after those 4 years. But now here we stand. We're waiting to see if they're going to be able to strike a deal on a long-term deal. If they can't, the tag is obviously always an option, but they have until March 9th.
Okay, so I will say it because everyone is thinking it. Tony Romo didn't ever win Jerry Jones a Super Bowl, and I remember when Tony Romo signed a contract that made him the highest paid player in the National Football League. He did that as a player before he did it as a broadcaster. So the idea that he needs to win a Super Bowl to get the money from Jerry Jones, candidly, is ridiculous. That said, Dan Orlovsky, what should happen here?
Don't pay good players great player money. Do not pay good players great player money. Dak Prescott is a good player. If the Cowboys pay him $40 million a year, it would be a grave mistake. They need to look at a situation like the Rams or like the Philadelphia Eagles and go, uh-oh, can we learn from maybe paying a guy too much money, so to speak? And how can they not become those two teams in 2 years from now? Now, I actually texted a couple of people that I work with at ESPN this a couple days ago. I said, if the Cowboys pay Dak $40 million, that's a huge mistake. One of those people responded back with, they're nothing without Dak Prescott. And I said, okay, let's go back to last year, 2020. In the first 5 games of the season, Dak Prescott started. In those first halves, when they started off terribly, he threw for 4 touchdowns and had 4 turnovers. Just okay, right? And then in the second half, when they were down multiple scores, he threw for 1,000 yards. That sounds like a little bit of a stat padding situation, right? Well, then let's go back to 2017 through 2019, because let's look at what the Cowboys are with Dak Prescott as a 3-year period. That 3-year period, they're 29-25 as a football team. No, quarterback wins aren't everything, but that's just good, right? That's just okay. That 3-year stretch, they averaged 23 points per game, about average in the NFL. Last year, they were 6-10 without him. They were 8-8 the year before with him. Dak Prescott deserves good player money. But the Cowboys, I actually think, have been smart about this. They've managed this where they have wiggle room. They don't have the end result, but they have wiggle room and they have options. Do not pay good players great player money.
I hear you. You've said that before on the show, and it's an unpopular opinion on this show, but I respect you sticking to it. But let me just ask you this, because they've now boxed themselves into a place where he's going to get paid great player money by somebody, regardless of what happens. So are you suggesting, Dan, they should just let him walk for nothing next year, or are you saying they should trade him now, because those feel like the two options if they're not going to be the ones to give him the $40 million?
I think they set a price that they're willing to pay Dak Prescott. And they say, this is what we value you as. This is what we think of you as. And that's the goal we want. We want to sign you to that deal. And if Dak is adamant and his reps are adamant that they want to reset the market or whatever or go $40 million, then the Cowboys, yes, should not do that. Because we know with 20% of their salary cap, I need someone to point to me the moment where Dak Prescott has taken this decimated roster or been in the MVP running or balled out at such a level where you go, yeah, we see it. He's been a good player, but not 20% worth of your cap. And so if they're going to sit there and say, we want $40 million a year just because it's the next move in the quarterback market, then yes, the Cowboys should go, then we've got to look at other options. Whether it's a sign and trade or draft a guy, that's their decision. But don't get into that situation where you all sit in 2 years from now go, our roster is depleted and the quarterback isn't what we thought he was.
Right. The floor this year is $38 million, though. You see it on your screen. That's what the franchise tag is worth, regardless of what else happens. Quick reaction, Chris Canty.
Yeah, I'm with Marcus Spears on this one, and I hear what Dan is saying in terms of the strategy with the contract, but when you're going to execute that type of strategy and draw a line in the sand, You probably should have done that 2 years ago if you're Jerry Jones. Right now, Dak Prescott has all the leverage, and typically in negotiations, the person that's willing to walk away is always going to win. And Dak Prescott has already shown us that he's more than comfortable playing on an expiring contract. This will be the 3rd year in a row he does that. And so when we start looking at this situation, I think Jerry Jones has to come to the realization that Dak Prescott is willing to go on the free agent marketplace. Are the Cowboys willing to go through a full rebuild without a franchise quarterback? That's the question you got to ask.
And by the way, while Dan was talking, that sound you heard was Dominique Foxworth's head explode. That's what that was. Much more football as we continue.
Yeah, but Dominique and Marcus need to understand I've been right about this one, Greeny, for the last year and a half. Marcus,
I love the debating between these
I've been
two.
Right about
I got to get to the next order of business. Stand by. I'm coming back to you, I promise. But we got a huge game tonight. 7 Eastern on ESPN. It's number 9 Iowa. It's number 3 Michigan. Iowa's got the big fella, Luke Garza. He's sensational, 24.7 points a game. He and the Hawkeyes, though, have their hands full. Michigan, 11-1 in the Big Ten this year, and Juwan Howard has done a sensational job in his 2nd season. Michigan seeking its first regular season title since 2014. And here is the man in the middle of it all. Jay Bilas is with us here on Get Up. Thank you, Jay. And look, I watched this Michigan-Ohio State game on Sunday. To me, it was as good a game as I've seen all year long. For the folks who haven't seen them, what makes Juwan Howard's Michigan team so good?
Greeny, I think Michigan is every bit as good as Gonzaga and Baylor. We've separated those two from the field, but Michigan should be on that side of the line. The Wolverines are that good. They have size, they have length and athleticism on the wings, and they are unbelievably stable at the point guard position, which was the biggest question mark coming in. Michigan, DeFranz Wagner do. And my answer was everything. He does everything. Great defender, excellent on offense. He cuts. Isaiah Livers is an NBA player. Hunter Dickinson's their leading scorer, leading rebounder, leading percentage shooter. And Mike Smith transferred in from Columbia. He's their point guard, leads the Big Ten in assists. And he's an outstanding player. He started off 1 for 9 from 3. Since then, he's shooting 57% from behind the arc.